Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. General Hospital has never been short on shocking twists, and when it comes to dark legacies that continue to ripple through the years, few names send chills down the spine of longtime viewers, quite like Cesar Faison. His reign of terror was marked by manipulation, obsession, and one of the most twisted tools in his arsenal, his mastery of brainwashing. For decades, Faison's tactics left characters scarred, relationships shattered, and entire storylines altered in ways that still haunt Port Charles today. Even though he is gone, the shadow of his methods remains, and that has fans buzzing about whether Cain could be the next to suffer under the lingering effects of Faison's mind control experiments. Cain's journey has already been anything but ordinary. From the moment his true identity was revealed, his life has been tangled in secrets, memory transfers, and psychological manipulation. Longtime viewers remember that Drew's brain was once tampered with by Helena Cassadine, who used technology tied directly to Faison's network. Though Helena was the one most visibly pulling the strings at the time, many fans believed that Faison's fingerprints were all over that process, suggesting that Drew's mind has always been a ticking time bomb. The possibility that Faison embedded hidden triggers or deep programming in Drew is one that refuses to die, and with recent story arcs pushing Drew closer to mental and emotional breaking points, it may be that the writers are preparing to finally unleash this buried twist. Think back to how Faison operated. He wasn't just satisfied with conventional schemes. He wanted control at the deepest level, control of the mind, control of free will, control that erased a person's identity and replaced it with something he could use for his own agenda. We saw it with Anna Devane, who suffered years of psychological torment under his obsession. We saw it with Jason Morgan, whose life was stolen from him in more ways than one. And we saw it most disturbingly in Drew himself, who not only lived years under another man's memories, but also walked away believing he was someone entirely different. These aren't just accidents of science. They're reminders of how far Faison's reach extended and how much damage it left in its wake. Now, Drew is back in Port Charles, trying to rebuild his life, reconnect with family, and carve out an identity that is truly his own. On the surface, he seems more grounded than ever. He's a father, a protector, a man who wants to use his past trauma as fuel for something better. But beneath that stability lies the constant question: what if his mind isn't as free as he believes? What if remnants of Faison's programming still linger, waiting for the right moment to resurface? In soap operas, buried secrets have a way of clawing their way back to the surface, and Drew may find that his greatest enemy isn't outside forces at all, but rather the hidden scars left in his own brain. The idea of Drew being the next victim of Faison's twisted legacy is tantalizing for writers and terrifying for fans. Imagine the emotional fallout if Drew suddenly began acting against his own loved ones, not because he wanted to, but because some unseen force had activated him. The drama of Drew being used as a weapon, perhaps even against Jason or Sam, would echo some of the most painful chapters of his past, reigniting rivalries and tearing at fragile relationships. In fact, one of the greatest soap tropes of all time is when a hero becomes a villain against his will, only to later fight his way back to redemption. Drew, already a character defined by the battle for his own identity, would be the perfect canvas for such a story. It's not just speculation either. Subtle clues have been sprinkled into recent storylines that suggest Drew's mind might not be entirely his own. Viewers have noticed moments where Drew appears distant, distracted, or oddly intense in ways that feel uncharacteristic. While some of this can be attributed to trauma, General Hospital is rarely so casual with its character beats. Every hesitation, every shadowed glance, every unexplained emotional outburst could be groundwork for something much bigger. If Faison left behind mental landmines, Drew might already be on the path to detonation. Consider how this twist could tie into other characters. Jason Morgan, the man who once lived with Drew's memories, would have the most personal stake in uncovering and stopping whatever hidden programming still exists. The Jason and Drew dynamic has always been rich with tension. Brothers by blood, strangers by life experience, rivals in love. If Drew were to fall victim again to outside control, Jason might be forced into the role of savior, fighting not only to protect others, but also to rescue the brother he never fully got to know. Their relationship could evolve in heartbreaking and powerful ways, cementing a storyline that fans would talk about for years. Then there's Sam. She has already endured more than enough heartbreak tied to brainwashing, memory transfers, and the endless tug-of-war between Drew and Jason. If Drew begins to unravel under the weight of Faison's influence, Sam would be pulled right back into that storm. Her loyalty, her sense of family, and her own scars from the past would all be tested. Would she stand by Drew even as he became dangerous? Or would she side with Jason in trying to stop him? Either way, the emotional stakes for Sam would skyrocket. And let's not forget Anna Devane. Few characters understand Faison's methods as intimately as Anna does. She knows better than anyone how he thought, how he manipulated, how he embedded psychological traps that could last decades. If Drew begins to show signs of brainwashing, Anna would immediately recognize the symptoms, and her guilt over not putting an end to Faison sooner could fuel her determination to save Drew. She might see this as her chance to finally close the book on Faison's reign of terror, not by killing him, he's already gone, but by undoing the last of his twisted work. Another angle worth considering is the Cassadines. Helena may be dead, but her reach, like Faison's, continues to echo. She was directly tied to Drew's memory manipulation, and her work was often in partnership with Faison's strategies. If the Cassadines are reintroduced into Drew's story, it could reinforce the idea that his mind has always been a battlefield created by their combined cruelty. Characters like Valentine, or even a returning Nicholas, could find themselves entangled in Drew's unraveling, either as allies or opportunists ready to exploit Victor Cassadine's recent schemes. Though Victor is gone, the fallout from his plots remains, and there's reason to believe that he too had his hands in experiments involving memory control and brainwashing. If Victor tapped into the groundwork laid by Faison and Helena, then Drew's current peace may only be an illusion. Perhaps Victor left behind programming that hasn't yet been activated, a chilling possibility that would make Drew's stability incredibly fragile. The brilliance of a storyline like this is how many layers it could have. On one hand, you have the personal drama of Drew fighting for his mind, his relationships, and his future. On the other, you have the larger thematic weight of Faison's legacy refusing to die, proving that even in death he can still destroy lives. Soap operas thrive on legacy villains whose shadows stretch far beyond their physical presence, and Faison is the perfect example of that. He doesn't need to be resurrected physically to continue terrorizing Port Charles. His methods are his immortality. If Drew does become the next victim, the fallout could extend far beyond his immediate circle. The Quartermaines would be devastated to see one of their own unravel again. The Corinthos family, always wary of brainwashing plots, would see Drew's condition as both a threat and a tragedy. And younger characters like Scout would be pulled into a generational storyline about identity, memory, and the scars left by the sins of the past. What makes this possibility so compelling is that Drew isn't just any character. He is uniquely suited for this kind of plot because of his history. He's a man who has lived under another's memories, who has struggled to reclaim his identity, who has been a victim of mind control before. To bring that back now, years later, would not only feel consistent with his character, but also serve as a chilling reminder that soap opera scars don't just disappear. They fester, they wait, and they come back when you least expect them. For longtime viewers, the echoes of Faison's past schemes are unforgettable. His twisted fascination with control created some of the show's most unforgettable storylines, and his connection to Drew remains one of the most unfinished threads. The writers have a golden opportunity to tie Drew's future directly to Faison's legacy, delivering a storyline that is both emotionally gripping and deeply rooted in General Hospital history. It would be a story that honors the past while pushing characters into uncharted territory, the kind of balance that keeps soap operas fresh and compelling. So, could Drew Cain be the next victim of Cesar Faison's brainwashing legacy? All the signs point to yes. The seeds have been planted, the character history supports it, and the emotional stakes are sky high. Whether it happens tomorrow or months from now, fans should brace themselves for the possibility that Drew's greatest battle is yet to come, a battle not against an outside enemy, but against the ghosts of Faison's twisted genius lurking inside his own mind. And if that happens, Port Charles will never be the same again. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for all of your updates.